Virat Kohli might have stolen all of the headlines for his very amazing performance against Pakistan, but it is also worth noting that without this man's assistant, Hardik Pandya, we might not have actually gotten that, partnership that actually helped keep India in the game and eventually win them the game as well. However, not one to be outdone or outshone, Hardik Pandya has actually now made some headlines for some rather interesting comments that he made during his appearance on an episode of the ICC Review podcast. Now, he said plenty of things, but I think the most newsworthy, or let's just say the most catchy thing that he said has been about when he was questioned about bowlers being able to run out the non-striker. Of course, that's something that most people refer to as munketing, but we're going to avoid that term for now on and let's just address it as it is. He had some issues when it came to how it is that people, still see this taboo around running out the non-striker. And beyond that, he also had some interesting things to say about what he believes is, an overrated phenomenon in T20I crickets, and that's looking at individual player matchups. Now, let's quickly delve into what it is he has to say, and we'll actually analyze it a bit because he said some very interesting things. So, let's just quickly check out first what it is that he said about running out the non-striker. He said very bluntly, we need to stop making a fuss about this being running out at the non-striker's end. It is a rule as simple as that. To hell with the spirit of the game. If it is there, remove the rule, as simple as that. Now, to this, I will, make that classic joke which all of us on Sports Today make, where we say that in the words of the great MS Dhoni, nothing more to add. However, I think he's best summed it up by saying that, look, you can talk about your spirit, you can talk about whether or not you should be doing something or you shouldn't be doing something, but the simple fact of the matter is, being able to run out the non-striker is now a legitimate part of the rules. It doesn't count as an unfair play, it counts as a regular run out. So, rather than actually demonize the bowler for doing it, we should just simply accept that it's a part of the rules, and if and when it does happen, just move on with our lives instead of making such a big deal about the phenomenon. In fact, he goes one further than this when he talks about it. He says that, look, personally speaking, I have no problem with doing it. If I, as a batsman, am walking out of the crease and the bowler runs me out, that is my mistake. The rule is the bowler is using the rule to his advantage, and that is not a big deal. Now, that is the thing that's also worth noting, is that if you're using a ploy that is well within the rules, should it really be that much of a concern? It shouldn't be, but one of those things that's just uniquely cricket, it is, because we're talking less about the rule that's in play and more about spirit. But as Hardik himself said, to hell with spirit. It's there in the rules, so you should stick to what is there in the rules and follow that. And he's also actually put the onus very rightly on the batsman, saying that, if I, as a batsman, am leaving my crease, then the bowler is well within his rights to run me out. That is my problem. I should be looking to not leave the crease well in advance, rather than blame the bowler for running me out and doing something that's actually well within the rules. But of course, as I said, this isn't the only interesting thing that he mentioned. He also talked about the phenomenon of matchups in T20I cricket. Now, for those unfamiliar, matchups basically means when, you say, for instance, one player coming out to bat, one particular batsman, and you know that you have someone in your team against whom that particular batsman has struggled, so you'll throw on that bowler. According to Pandya, that phenomenon is, and I'm using his words here, overrated. Hear that right. He said, matchups, honestly, they are overrated. I don't mind saying that. In Test cricket and ODI cricket, it might work, but I don't believe it does work in T20 cricket. I don't worry about matchups. Now, that's actually an interesting thought process from someone who, as we know, can hit the ball a long way and actually has the ability to take on almost any kind of bowler. But he actually goes on to substantiate this claim by, giving an example of how it is that he approaches it. And if you go by what it is that Pandya has said, he says that rather than focusing on the matchup angles, I merely look at what is the situation that I'm in. He says, for me, it is just about the situation. There are times where a bowler I want to take on is bowling, but if the situation does not demand that I don't take the risk, because it is then going to harm my team. Now, as I said, that's a very interesting way of looking at it, because normally speaking, a lot of bowlers will generally look to see out those bowlers who they aren't comfortable facing, and then look to target those ones, regardless of the match circumstance, who they are comfortable taking on. But as Hardik himself says, he says, you know what, I don't look at the concept or the phenomena of matchups. I'll look at what situation I'm in. If we're in the situation that I need to be hitting hard, I'll hit any bowler hard. If we're not in a situation where I need to be chasing every ball, then I won't be chasing it, even if it is up against a bowler who I fancy taking on. So that's a very interesting way of looking at things. And in fact, this entire interview has like a lot of interesting things which Hardik has said, of course in his own traditional style. And of course, I thought these were the more interesting things, because again, I know it's beating a dead horse when it comes to talking about the phenomena of munketing or running out the non-striker. But it is an interesting thing that he mentions very clearly. He says, look, I don't care if I have no problem doing it. I have no problem if someone does it to me. It's well within the rules. It should be that simple. And if you're talking, of course, about matchups, he said that I don't believe in matchups. I believe in playing the situations. And while I will admit that does sound like something a lot of people will say, he does actually make a very valid point where he says that, look, I'd rather play according to the situation than look at who it is I'm playing. Because again, if you're Pandya, you have the confidence of hitting any one of those balls or any one of those bowlers out of the park. But enough about how I feel about this. What do you guys think? Don't forget to let us know in the comments how you feel about what it is Pandya said on these topics. And also don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon if you haven't already. Then you can also go ahead and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And don't forget to download the Sports app. Thank you all so much for joining us. As always, I've been Shane Dias, and I hope to see you all through the day. But for now, goodbye.